a state legislator or a state senator, I just tell them, you know, I try to joke around a little bit by saying, if I'm the next senator, you better eat your Wheaties, because I'm about to do what the Constitution says and give that power back to you. The main thing that talks about is the 10th Amendment. You all familiar with the 10th Amendment, I believe? Yes or no? How many don't know what the 10th Amendment is? Let me just turn over there and read it to you. It deals with states' rights, that's right, but it's very, very short. Give me just a second here and I'm going to read it to you. The power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, or reserved to the states respectively, or to the people. So many things that the federal government is doing belong to the states. So that's the second key aspect of getting this economy turned around. The third is we have got to give incentives to industry, to corporate America. I see your head shaking, so I bet you how many people in here have ever had your employer or whoever you might work for give you an incentive? Anybody? Okay. Now, most of you understand that concept. And what happens when you're given an incentive? They say, okay, you do this much work, you're going to make this much money. But now if you were to get up to this level, then we're going to give you X or Y or Z or whatever. But what begins to happen is the wheels begin to turn in your mind. And, how can I get that bonus? How can I get that extra incentive? That's the way the business mind works, the entrepreneurial mind works. And so this is what I would do to get jobs. Ladies and gentlemen, it bothers me to no end that when I go to the store, 8 times out of 10, when I take an item off the shelf and I see where it's made, it does not say made in the United States. Does that bother any of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it bothers me to no end. In fact, this ad right here, I've laminated it because I just kept messing up and wearing out too many copies. I just about had a stroke. I don't thankfully have high blood pressure, but when I first read this ad, I almost just had a stroke. Several months ago, I had to fly to and from Los Angeles. And nothing against Continental, I like Continental just fine. But in the Hemispheres magazine, which is their airline magazine, was this ad. The headline says, overseas manufacturing isn't as scary as you think. Listen to this. The main thing is they specialize, has been helping clients manufacture goods in China for over 35 years, boosting profits and reducing costs. Unlock the mysteries of foreign cultures, languages, yada yada. We handle all the logistics such as finding the right factory, negotiating prices, overseeing the tooling and factory production, on and on and on. 9 offices in China. Give us a call. Well, I can tell you as a businessman that business people do not put ads in magazines or newspapers or spend advertising money in general unless they know they're going to get a return on their money. And so these people are getting a return on their money, and you know why? Because all across America, business people are throwing up their hands and they're saying, I have had it with these bureaucrats. We're going to keep our management team in the United States, but we're going to outsource our production. That must stop, and it must be reversed. So this is how I would reverse it. I would drop the corporate tax. And by the way, just a little quick economics lesson, and I'm not trying to be smart like I promise. I just want you to think of this because odds are there's some people in this room that have never thought this through. Corporations really don't pay tax. Their customers do.
That's right.
Okay? Because we're the ones, when we go to Walmart, that take out either a credit card or cash money, or we write them a check for our purchases, and we give them, and I'm not picking on Walmart, I got no problem with Walmart, we give them the revenue. Well, whatever we buy, they have marked up enough to have a sufficient enough profit to take 35% of that profit and pay it to Uncle Sam, and have the remaining left over to satisfy their shareholders. So really, you just need to understand that if you hear people trash talking corporations, just say, now, you realize that corporations have the courage. You do realize that corporations don't pay tax, don't you? Well, yes, they do. They're just a bunch of evil. We just need to stick it to them. Well, no. Where do you think, friend? Where do you think they get their revenue? What do you mean? Well, where do they get the money to pay their tax? And just educate it. We've got to re-educate the American people. But having said that, I would drop it across the board to 25%. But then I don't mind telling you, even though I'm not in manufacturing, I think that it's high time that we need to be biased toward manufacturing, all right? And so I would say to anybody that manufactures things in this country, I would say, look, thank you for doing that. We need more of it. So we're only, if provided that at least 75% of the parts that you use in the manufacturing process of your plant are American made, we're going to drop your rate to 10% because we want you to expand. We don't want you to even think about calling these people, okay? We want you right here in America hiring Americans. So you're only going to pay 10%. And then, let me tell you how it would really jumpstart the economy. All across this state and all across America, as Lori and I travel the state, we see one factory after another that is shuttered, closed, grass growing in the parking lot, plywood over the windows, dust collecting everywhere, a lock and a chain on the gate. That breaks my heart. So what I would say to corporations all across America, reopen those factories, rehire American workers, and for 10 years, you won't pay a dime in tax on anything, any profit